Welcome back. Here we are with another car vlog. We got some shocking news today. So if anybody been following me, anybody been following the type of stuff that I follow, you'll know that I've been talking about Disney's in hot water lately. They've been making some weird choices. They've been kind of like pushing what you would consider some of the more hardcore fans away from certain properties. But Johnathan Majors. Okay, so let me just start here. He's already in hot water for potential domestic violence type situation, you know? I don't know if it's directly domestic violence or if it's something adjacent. He's been cut from the digital promotion for he's been cut from the most recent string of promotional videos, which would be just trailers. They cut his portions of the trailer out, which was the first bad sign. The second bad sign was him getting dropped by his managing company. It's like Entertainment 360 or something like that. I might have fucked the name up. Either way, he got dropped. That's not great. Disney's still holding on to him, which I give them props because I stated another one. When Johnny Depp got in a situation like that, they dropped him like hot butter, and guess what happened? They were wrong. So maybe they're actually trying to figure out the truth instead of jumping on what we'll call it, the cancel culture bandwagon, right? Because literally everybody's coming out the woodworks. It was like the first day he got arrested or whatever, right? And like TMZ broke the news. It was baffling how many people who lived in New York or went to Yale or whatever school he went to, all the people that supposedly were there during his upbringing or his uprising, whatever you want to call it, right? And it's just kind of like, y'all literally all waited till now to speak about this situation. Like, all of you knew that he was a quote-unquote abuser. But instead of y'all coming forward earlier, before his career skyrocketed, y'all waited until the man was a literal money printing machine. Because every movie he's been in, every TV show he's been in the past like 4 or 5 years, has been fairly good. I've enjoyed him. I enjoyed him in Lovecraft Country. Haven't seen Creed yet, so I will need to go through that, but I've only heard good things about his Creed performance. Didn't see him in Loki because I didn't feel like finishing it. It didn't have staying power for me. And then Ant-Man, I'm waiting on that so I can see him in that, but everybody's saying he does a great job. And I do not doubt that he is a well-versed performer. I think he does a good job, and that's why I wanted more Lovecraft Country, even though it got canceled after one season. But yeah, it's just like, I don't know, why did they wait till then to speak up about him doing this stuff? Hold on, guys, I gotta make a pass on the interstate. But yeah, it's just like baffling that like y'all waited to do that. Now, like I said in the previous video, if this did happen, if these allegations are true, I want that woman to be able to come forward and not be harassed by the internet, because you know how these things go. Your favorite, or your movie idol, music idol, whoever, some slanderous stuff comes out about them, and then people are hopping on Twitter into the accuser's DMs, and it's just like telling this person anything along those lines, any form of bullying. You shouldn't be doing it. For one, we don't even have all the information. Two, what are we going to do once the information gets updated and changed, right? Like, what are we going to do if everybody's been out here canceling him, dropping him from contracts, doing this and that and the third, and we find out that this lady lied? Now his career's been ruined from one lie. But we can't make any assumptions in either direction at the moment. Yeah, the big news today, more people are coming forward and accusing him, and it's just like, God, I couldn't imagine. What's the, when it rains it pours? Because boy, it really does look like it's just coming down all around that poor man. I don't know. Do we think Disney's gonna replace him? Oh, that's what I was thinking about. So we got this situation with Johnathan Majors, right? He potentially put his hands on a previous love interest, whatever you want to call it. Potentially did it with multiple partners in the past up to this point. Who knows? We don't know. Nothing is clear yet. There's not a lot of information. We don't even have what was it? I will say this. They leaked text messages between him and the person that supposedly made the accusations. Those text messages do not look like they help. Because I remember when they initially got leaked, I read them and I was just like, what is this? Is this supposed to help him? This does not seem like it's helping. I don't know. And it's like, I don't know who leaked that information either. I don't know if it was his lawyers or someone close by. Like, how'd you even get access to his phone, right? Or maybe it was from her phone. Either way, the people who leaked this, I think they also stated that there's a video that's going to completely exonerate Johnathan Majors. We won't know that until we see it. I've also heard some people give their thoughts on it because, like, obviously I'm talking about it, so I want to see what other people are saying too. Some other folks, they're thinking, and like I said, all highly speculative stuff we're dealing with right now, but they're thinking to themselves, at the rate stuff is coming out, they think they missed the window to put out that video, if they're still going to do it, right? Because at this point, there's so much stuff building up against Johnathan. You've got, like, multiple people, like, multiple witness testimonies stating that he did this during college, from around the place he was living. You've got more accusations from other people that claim he did it to them directly. It's just not looking good out here for our boy. And I want our boy to be doing well, because I like seeing him in movies. I mean, sad stuff. Oh, while I'm talking about Marvel, Disney. Bro, Disney's in shambles. Alright, but anyways, Lilo and Stitch. We now officially know who is being cast as Lilo, Nani, Stitch. I think Nani's boyfriend or friend, boy mate, whatever you want to call dude. I think his name was like David or something like that. I'll have to go look it up again. They've got him announced. They've got the evil scientist that makes Stitch. I think they've got the yellow alien that works alongside him. And Bubbles. Everyone's talking about Bubbles. I think they're making Bubbles Melissa McCarthy. Don't quote me on that. Oh, you know what? I might have looked at the picture wrong. Because Bubbles is in fact the FBI agent dude that's like in the cartoon or in the movie. But I'm trying to figure out, because I might be remembering wrong, because it was like a panel, like six characters, and then the actors according to who's going to play, right? I can't remember if they had Bubbles or the Shark Man. And I need to figure out Shark Dude's name, because he might have been one of the 6 portraits on there. But the big hubbub, the big fuss about well, there's 2 things circling around online right now. The two big things that are causing fuss right now are Bubbles possibly not being cast or not being in the movie. It's very early in the production to know if the character's not even going to be present, right? They could still be trying to hire somebody. And the second thing is what's a good way to word this? The color of the actors, the color of the characters. So obviously, movies in Hawaii, right? Lots of Hawaiian going on. Everybody in the movie, darker skin tone, right? That's just how it is. You live on the island, you're out in the sun all day, you're gonna get tanner skin, right? I forget the girl's name, but they hired a Hawaiian girl to play Nani. Now, technically, based on all the identity politics and hubbub that's been going around, you would think them picking a Hawaiian person to play a Hawaiian character would be good enough, right? Because we're always complaining that, like, white characters are getting turned into black people, or they're being made as Indian people, or whatever, right? So we normally complain about the race swapping of characters and how it's just like it's a nothing burger, or it's meaningless, because it's just like, the way I look at things, and I'll use The Little Mermaid as an example, it's just a hand-me-down character, right? Instead of just recasting somebody to do the role and then make a good movie, they're taking a black person, they're sticking them in it and saying, look, we did the thing. We broke this is the first time we've ever had black person do this role. Look. But it's just like, it's a hand-me-down role, dude. This character has been portrayed for probably close to a century now. Because, like, when did the Little Mermaid story come around, right? And I know the movies have been around for at least, like, 30, maybe 40 years at this point, right? But anyways, aside from that, let's get back to Lilo and Stitch here. Obviously, it's a remake, so I personally feel it's going to fumble, drop the bag, whatever, in a couple places. One of them being the 2D characters that are not human might not translate well. Now, I will give them the benefit of the doubt that Lilo and Stitch, with how unique the monsters or aliens, whatever you want to call them, with how unique they were, and how, for the most part, majority of them were kind of cute, right? They were like real soft edges, nothing like, nothing grotesque, right? They're just aliens. With the fact that Detective Pikachu did as well as it did, I don't think it was like the best it could have been, but I think for the fact that they had cartoon character creatures and they brought them to CGI, to 3D, real life, whatever the proper wording is, whatever brings like a cartoon character into the real world through animation. I don't know if that's 3D or CGI or whatever you want to call it, right? But they did a fairly decent job showcasing what a live-action Pokemon would look like. They kept the core of what the Pokemon were. They added fur to them, whatever, right? I think the technology is there to get the aliens right in Lilo and Stitch if they do the live-action movie. But the thing is, are they going to put the money in the budget for that? Because there's already been statements talking about the misuse of the budget for the Marvel 2 movie because the costumes don't look as good. And if I was like at home doing this recording instead of driving, I'd probably like pull up a picture of Miss Marvel, the little girl one, Kamala Khan. I'd pull up a picture of her outfit in her TV show as opposed to her outfit in this movie. And this could be subjective, but I think there is a noticeable decline in the quality of her costume. Now, I'm not talking about like, maybe I am talking about it. It's like a combination of like the aesthetic, the way it fits on the character. Like, okay, I'll give like a brief example, right? So you see right here where the arm of my t-shirt is, right? There's like that, you know, the separation with the fabric. So you can tell that this is where the arm goes. Now, if I were to say someone had a bad shirt on, I would be saying that because one, their shirt's not built for their body shape. So growing up, I had to deal with the fact that a lot of my shirts, because I just bought big t-shirts, the shoulder would not be at the shoulder. The shoulder would be like halfway down my bicep. So you've got like, instead of it forming like, you know, how this is, you can see the shape of my torso. It would just kind of be like a big balloon over my body. I was kind of getting vibes like that. I was feeling like maybe they could have cut this superhero suit a little bit better. Maybe they could have tightened up the lightning bolt in the chest. Something. It's not a bad costume. I just think if you compare this costume to the previous costume she had, it's markedly worse. And like I said, subjective thing. Budget. So me bringing that up is to talk about Disney using their budget properly. And I'm a little afraid that we're going to end up with The Lion King again. Because sure, The Lion King was watchable, was passable. But there's a lot to the characters and their expressions in the cartoons. Like, you can't have a scene with a live-action meerkat or warthog where their eyeballs bulge out of their head. Because you're trying to make everything look realistic. So the solid fact that, like, bulging eyes coming out of head, you can't even use that you can't even express a character that way if you're trying to do live action, make everything hyper realistic. And I also thought Pumbaa looked a little ugly because like his fur was real scraggly as opposed to the Pumbaa we grew up with just being the warthog color. All of his fur was flat on his body and he had like a little mohawk or whatever, right? In the live action, Pumbaa looked like a pig, a warthog, sure, he had his tusks, but he looked so scraggly and gross. And you know, maybe that's how actual warthogs look out in the wild. And maybe this is the nostalgia speaking right now. But when I want to see Pumbaa, or when someone says, hey, Pumbaa's gonna be in this, I'm expecting like a brownish, tannish warthog pig who's got like a big old head, real big nose, real tiny tusk, and he's like prancing around with his meerkat buddy. We watched the live action movie. Sure, he might be doing the same actions, but there's something about seeing that scraggly pig that does not hit the same as seeing the cartoon. And I just feel like we're gonna get stuff like that with Lilo and Stitch. The same way I take it back. I don't think this will happen with Peter Pan. Simply because most of the characters in Peter Pan are human or humanoid, right? Because you got the fairies. So I don't think the Peter Pan movie, or they've already announced that they're going to do a Tinkerbell movie called Tink. Now, I don't know how that's going to pan out, right? I feel like this is going to be heavily contingent on the Wendy and Peter Pan movie, right? Like, obviously, I would love for the movie to do well, right? Giving some people of color some good gigs. But I feel they're going to run into a lot of these other... I feel like they're going to run into a lot of the same issues these other things have had, which is we market the movie with the identity of this character being different and more relatable, and then not actually focusing on what made the story good, or the core component that made people want to participate in the experience of watching multiple movies with these characters, right? Just to do a little roundup here, Johnathan Majors is actually in some hot water right now. I hope this stuff isn't true about him. I do believe, though, that Disney is holding on to him, similarly to how DC is holding on to Ezra Miller, because he's still in some of their movies and properties, right? So I'm pretty sure Homeboy's out on bond or some shit like that. So until the court case comes up, or until more information gets leaked on, Johnathan Majors is kind of sitting in this limbo where, like, yes, he is still Kang. Do we know if Kang's gonna be our big bad for Phase 6 in the finale of this section of Marvel phasing? Ain't no telling. Will he still be working the movies? From what I've heard, there's another movie coming out. I have to get back to y'all on that, but there's like a movie coming out either this weekend or the next upcoming weekend that Johnathan Majors is in, and it's like, it's probably projected to do decent, right? Talked about that. We talked about Disney and their hiring choices. Well, I didn't go into like super big detail, but when it came to Lilo and Stitch, the actors, they're a little bit lighter than the internet wants them to be, right? I'm not gonna lie, I got caught up with everybody else, because, you know, every time there's a white character in the movie and they make it a black person, I'm like, come on, man, just make a new character. When they announced Lilo and Stitch, they showed the girl, and I was just like, are they whitewashing this? Not even an hour later, it gets revealed to me that the woman playing Nani is actually Hawaiian, and it's just kind of like, oh fuck, I fell for the tricks too. It does kind of pull back the curtain on some of the identity politics stuff, right? Like, there was a lot of it up to this point where people were just fronting and saying, no, we just want, proper representation, and now it's like, you got a Hawaiian character played by a Hawaiian person, and folks are online like, she's not dark enough. And sure, right, maybe they could have spent some more time finding an actress who is equally as good, if not better, than the current one that had darker skin. Total possibility. Am I gonna let it hurt me? Nah, because I already feel a certain way about these remakes, especially the fact that, like, Lilo and Stitch isn't really that old. It's like, what, maybe 20 years? But aside from that, because I haven't gone on my big spiel about, like, all the remakes that are getting announced, I'm gonna drop this little tidbit, and I'm gonna see you guys on the way out. But because I'm home clearly, I'm not driving no more. But Moana's already getting remade. They got The Rock in it. Obviously, The Rock was gonna be Maui. Like, we knew that. But the fact that, like, bro, this movie came out less than 10 years ago, and we're already getting a live-action remake? At least a lot of these Disney movies were like 40, 50 plus years old. I used to think in my head there was this tinfoil conspiracy floating around the internet, and I was like, you know what? This makes a lot of sense. And it was that, like, every X amount of years you have to redo something involving the intellectual property, or you lose, it's not copyright. It might be copyright. But after X amount of time, you lose copyright to it, and then it becomes public domain. And Disney is doing everything in their power to make sure none of these stories become public domain again. And they're probably doing that because they know if somebody else got a hold of these stories and they got to take like their creative liberties, they might do a good job. And we might forget about the Disney version. Because let's not forget, Disney's big move was taking old folklore and making animated films out of it and then completely erasing where they got the lore from. Because nobody talks about the book that The Little Mermaid comes from, except for when we were all fussing about, oh, it's a black woman. Well, they wouldn't have black women in the Netherlands or wherever the book was written at. Like, nobody fucking cares, man. Because that's how good of a job Disney did. They made you forget where that story came from. The same way they did with The Lion King. It's just Hamlet. Also, it's something called Kimba. There's like a story of like a white a Bengal tiger or some shit like that. Same story. So I'm gonna wrap this up. I'm praying for Johnathan Majors. I hope the Lilo and Stitch movie doesn't go horrendously. We will have to see, because you can tell a lot about how a movie's gonna turn out based off of all the information the actors pull out, the VFX people pull out, because all these folks that are working on these projects, they be leaking little tidbits here and there, whether it's through a Twitter post or some Reddit or anonymously on 4chan, or they let a YouTuber know that's close to the industry. Like, this information will come out, so we will find out if Disney's misusing their funds, if Disney's on their last leg. I don't think Disney as a company is gonna fall through. We're gonna stop using Disney, right? They got theme parks and everything. They're huge, right? But I do think there will be a noticeable fall off in viewership across all their things and attendance at their parks if they keep going down the road they're going. So as always, I'll thank you guys. If you think Johnathan Majors is either guilty or not, drop some info down below. I could probably use that to help out with figuring out some information, because let me tell you, Google, these MSN articles, these fucking, like, all these random ass articles, and then you got YouTube, Twitter, Google giving it to, and it's like, I don't know which information is true yet. I don't have any way to back or check this stuff yet until actual court stuff happens. Until next time, guys, thank you. Love you guys. And peace.